Welcome back to Bleav in Softball. I'm your host, Jenna, and however you got here today, whether you downloaded the audio version on Apple, Spotify, etc., or you're watching video on YouTube, thank you, welcome. Subscribe and rate the show wherever you get your pods. Follow us on Instagram and X at Bleav in Softball, that's BLEAV, and there's merch. So click the link in our bio on either page or go to shop.bleav.com to purchase. There are 3 different shirts covering our bases, safer out, and catch you soon. Let me know which one's your favorite. All right, let's go through today's batting order. First, we will be covering our bases. I'm going to share some call outs. Then we'll head into today's interview with Joanna Hardin. She's the fearless leader of Virginia softball, and this is a program that is on the rise and that's fun to watch, and it starts with her. So I'm excited for that, and then we'll bring it home and I'll wrap up with some final thoughts. All right, let's go. Covering our bases. It was a big week for Big Swing. So much hype leading up to this moment. We talked about it on the show, and it finally happened. So I got to be on the call for Cal at Stanford for the series leading up to the Big Swing as well, and it was awesome. So just background again, the rivalry between Stanford and Cal is historic. And I was pretty proud of this actually on the broadcast. The way I referred to it was, the rivalry is historic and the atmosphere was euphoric, because it truly was. This is the Battle of the Bay, as it's been called. And then when it comes to the football stadium, it's very used to this type of rivalry between these two teams and these two institutions. So it's called the big game when the football teams meet. It's been played many times in that stadium. They play for the Stanford Axe. The Axe is what it's all about. There's a committee for both schools to literally oversee the Axe and the exchange of the Axe if the other team wins every year. It's a big deal. So it's all about that. And for volleyball, it's called the Big Spike between these two. For water polo, it's the Big Splash, etc. So this was huge. Also pretty cool because it was Cardinal Palooza on campus. Literally, that's what it was called. Baseball was hosting, there was beach volleyball on campus, rugby was competing, and there was a fan festival and everything. So this is all in addition to what was going on with the softball program. And of course, everything led up to the new NCAA softball attendance record with 13,207 fans, breaking the record. Not just the regular season, but the overall record for attendance for college softball. And this time it was at a home stadium. Granted, just for this year in the football stadium for Stanford softball, but at home on campus versus Devon Park in Oklahoma City, where we're used to seeing the Women's College World Series. I would say without a shadow of a doubt that getting to be on the call for the biggest crowd in college softball history was a top-tier moment in my career. And an added bonus to see a few Bleavers get to make history on the field. Both head coaches, Stanford's Jessica Allister and of course Cal's Chelsea Spencer, have been on the show. They're friends of the show. And Taryn Kern, of course, on the show earlier this season for Stanford softball. So just getting to see them actually do it, especially Coach Allister and Coach Spencer being alums of the programs that they lead. So many full circle moments. And just what a moment for the programs, for the institution, for softball, for the ACC, and just for women's sports as a whole. We talk about it as well, even more on this week's D1 Softball podcast. A new episode is out with my co-host Amanda Lorenz. This week, we interviewed Stanford outfielder Emily Jones. So she actually experienced competing in the Big Swing, which is huge. Another cool moment that was part of all of these celebrations was Andrew Luck throwing out the first pitch for the Big Swing. Obviously, everybody knows him as the Stanford football general manager and a Hall of Fame quarterback. But it was a cool personal moment for me too, because he's an old friend. We were classmates in college, and I actually got to talk with him afterward about the experience in the football stadium, supporting women's sports, and more. So you can see that on D1 Softball's social channels and hear it in the episode. So check out the episode on D1 Softball's YouTube or download it on whatever audio platform you get your podcasts. It will be time well spent, I promise. And coming up, I'm going to be on the call this weekend for Virginia's series at Stanford. It's crunch time in the ACC. It's towards the end of conference play. Things are getting real for the postseason. I actually did get to see the Who's play in person back in Clearwater, and I love seeing how a team has evolved from that early on in the season to now and going into the end of the season. So that's going to be a cool thing for me personally, but then also even more so, I did go on an unofficial visit to Virginia during my recruiting process, and I actually got to talk with Karen Johns about it when she came on the show, another friend of the show, because she was the head coach at the time recruiting me. Now, obviously, works at ESPN. So, lots of different ties. That's going to make this another fun one for me personally, let alone a good weekend of softball. And plenty going on across the country to keep an eye on as well as usual. But one team we know we'll have our eye on is that of today's guest. So let's head into the interview. The Virginia head coach and Biola University alum and All-American player, Joanna Hardin. Coach, thank you for joining. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you. Bring up Biola. That seems so long ago. So, oh my gosh.
I had to, though. It's part of your journey, It's part of what shaped you. So I had
a very impactful part of my journey. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Of course. Actually, on my travel ball team back in the day, my senior year of high school, we used to practice at Biola.
No way.
On the weekends. Yes. It was with the Jets 18 Gold, which that organization doesn't exist anymore. But back then,
that's awesome. It's very possible that we crossed over at some point, maybe, or was really close, because I think the our coach at the time was coaching the Jets or was involved with the Jets. So that's so funny. That's
Carissa.
What a small world. Yeah.
Yep. That's her.
Wow. Small world. The softball world is amazing. So, wow. That's awesome.
It's so cool. So cool. So obviously, personally had to get Biola in for that reason.
Love that.
Too.
I love it.
But how do you reflect back on that time? Because like we said, it helped build up to now, right? So how do you think about that time?
Yeah, no, Biola was such an impactful time because for me, I was recruited really late in high school. So I played on the California Cruisers, which I played with, Ches Sears, and I played with Lauren Lappin and Jen McCard. And I mean, my team from top to bottom was unbelievable. They all went on to have amazing careers, amazing universities. And so I was kind of like the last one, and they all got recruited pretty early, I think sophomore and junior year. And my spring of my senior year was when I got recruited to Biola as NAIA school. And so I think that was just a blessing. It was totally the Lord, just like right place, right time. Coach Smith was there and saw me play a high school game, which just doesn't happen anymore. It's not the thing. So I think it was definitely God's hand and like fingerprints all over that of bringing me to Biola and just continuing softball. I was planning to go to Cal State Fullerton and be a student, and just the trajectory of my life would have been drastically different had, Coach Smith not seen me play and me not go to Biola. And then from Biola, I just started coaching high school right out of there. And then that ended up at Liberty, just connections. And then, it's kind of history from there. Liberty got across the country. Once you get the girl out of California, anything can happen. So I just, that time was so valuable for me and just teaching me, who I was in and out of softball, and identity management was a big piece of that. Now I look back and just like building in my faith into my sport. I think that was really powerful time for me to figure out what that looked like. And it's still a process of figuring out, even as a coach, identity management's a real thing, but just really started at Biola and was such a precious time, and had great teammates and just a really impactful time for me personally. And obviously now where I'm at today, just like, the people and the experiences all shape you.
Absolutely. 100%. And identity management, I like the way that you have basically referred to that concept, because I don't know if that's how I've processed it, but it's absolutely something that every athlete especially deals with. Can you dive deeper and elaborate on what you mean?
Yeah, so I've actually been able to identify that because I've been meeting with a coach, actually an executive coach this semester. And so we talked about emotion management, EQ, and identity management and relationship management, and just how to navigate that in a position that is high pressure, high stress, as a mom, and as a leader of young women, in just an interesting cultural, climate right now. So I think identity management, and we talked about, is knowing who I am in and out of sport, in and out of game. One thing that she and I talk about all the time is that you feel better when you win and you feel worse when you lose. Like, there's just period, right? And you feel very tied to performance and tied to outcome. And this is a performance-based industry. Like it is, that's the reality. And we that when you get here, that when you sign up for it. So that's not a surprise, but who you are inside of it for it to be consistent, you have to really know who you are. And that's not something that you just tell yourself over and over. It has to be something that kind of you deeply believe and then you live into. And so that's been, I would say, a journey for all of us to some degree. You have to ask. I remember Coach Bennett actually said this, like, what's the worst that could happen? And he was telling us the story about, a 16 seed beats a 1 seed, and that happened. And he's like, okay, I'm fine. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm okay. I'm going to be fine in it. And especially, knowing that my identity rests in Jesus and not myself, and then not my sport. But the reality is this is the day to day, and it's hard. It's hard when you're in pursuit of an ACC championship, when you're in pursuit of NCAA tournament, when you're in pursuit of goals and a mission. And you wake up some days and you go, what am I doing? Like, I'm not accomplishing the mission short term, the goals short term, or the mission long term. I just don't see impact. And so I think knowing who you are and knowing who I am has helped me be a better mom. It's helped me to be more present with my athletes. I think it's helped me to be more moldable, more malleable, and more vulnerable. And I think it's it's made me a better coach, and still working, still trying to grow and be a better leader for my athletes and for my daughter.
Yeah. Primarily, right? I mean, that's
100%.
number one. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. No, she's my daughter changed everything. So that's been a huge piece of why, okay, I've got to figure this out and how to do it really well, because she's the most important asset and gift I've been given to steward in my life. So how do my husband, how do we do that really well? And so that's kind of what I think has really jump-started my kind of journey into like true identity management and relationship management and emotional management. It's been huge.
You've also had experiences at so many different types of institutions, programs. We obviously talked about Biola, but where you've coached as well, McNeese State too, we'll throw that in the mix. Yep. Do you think that has also helped give you even more perspective while you're in this sort of identity management phase, but also, just in general in life?
Yeah. I coached high school, I coached travel ball, I managed a facility, coached at McNeese State, and now at Virginia. I those experiences are just invaluable. I think the first thing is you just learn. I feel like I have a learned skill of FIO, like figure it out, and doing more with less. Like, you have to let your dollars have to stretch. So there's definitely some skills that I've developed at those levels that I think have helped. Even now, being at Virginia, the Power Five, like, we still have budget challenges. We still have, challenges that everybody's facing. They're a little bit different, but they're still challenges. So those have been really helpful. And I think, finding tools and pieces of myself that have been really successful and that have worked for me. And, again, one thing my coach and I, her name is Carlette, we talk about is being authentic. I think that's, like, she talks about, like, women win when they're authentic. And the hardest thing for women to be in this game is authentic to themselves, because we feel like we have to be what everybody else says we need to be, or what the right leader position looks like. And so I think I've learned really who I am and what makes me tick. I distinctly remember I was coaching high school and I was watching Tim Walton coach. I don't even know why. Florida must have been in town or around or somewhere close by. And I watched him, and he was so, like, his demeanor looked a certain way. And I remember trying to mimic that, like, in my high school, like when I was coaching my high school team, and it just was not me. Like, I'm fiery. I'm a little I'm a little bit different. And I remember this distinctly in high school. I'm like, wow, this doesn't work. Like, I didn't really know at the time what I was working through, or what I was figuring out. I distinctly remember trying to be like Tim Walton, or like mimic some of these other coaches. And early on in my career, and it's just like, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel like my truest self. And so that's part of that is, being a fearless leader and being a woman of faith in this role, in this, industry. It's something that's important to really learn how to be authentic and be willing to do that. But it takes time. And so I think being at all those levels has given me so many skills in all those different places, but it's also, I've really had to learn who I am as I've gone through that. And I think it's just becoming more and more more and more real as every year. And I'm still growing. Like even at 41, you're still learning. Like there's just this never get there. And I think that's what makes this so valuable. And what I really enjoy about it the most.
Yeah. I remember when we got to chat at the Clearwater Invitational, you talked about buy-in with your team, with your players, not only with each other, but with yourselves also. And I remember you saying, faith is a beautiful thing. And when you buy in, amazing things can happen. How have you seen that, up front and center with this team?
Yeah. No, I remember that specifically. And at that time specifically, we were like knocking on the door. We were so close. We had just lost those 2 games to South Carolina. And then we had, lost extra innings to Auburn. And so on the field, that was such a tangible experience to say, like, we have to just keep knocking on the door and it's going to open. You have to keep believing that A, your work, you're doing the right things, and then B, that it's going to pay you back. And then, the UCLA win. It was just such a real example of that in real time. I think I've seen, we've had some tough losses. We've had some tough go abouts. Everybody kind of has a stretch in the season. I don't know. It's different for everybody where you're just kind of like, bleh. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's just like you're tired, you're fatigued, the travel, there's so many games, we play 50 something games. Like it's just classes. And you're just kind of like another game, another Tuesday, and then we have this weekend series. And so I think I've seen it more real in these last couple of weeks of just the faith that like we're gonna finish, and that you are here for a reason, to again like be grateful. Like what do you want to experience every day? How do you be present, and how do you stay present? And that's being really intentional about what we're doing. It takes a lot of faith to be intentional, to say, I'm going to show up today, and not knowing exactly how this is going to work out. Like I'm going to show up today and I'm not in the lineup every day, but I'm going to keep showing up and I'm going to keep doing my best. Like I'm going to show up and I am in the lineup today and I don't know how I'm going to perform or if I'm going to stay in the lineup, and I think there's a lot of, it's a grind. The season is a grind. Yeah. And so to bring your best self every day takes a ton of courage, takes a ton of faith. It takes a ton of sacrifice to do that. And for all of us coaches too, one of the greatest things I've taken away from my coach Carlette is that she helps me to see from the athlete's perspective every time we meet. And so, talk about a contract negotiation, and she's like, Joe, like they're going through contract negotiations every day. Like they're negotiating for their own position in the lineup. And I was like, wow, you're right. Like, and I'm talking about the challenges of, leaving and traveling with my daughter, and she's upset, and being mom, and like all these things, and just feeling so overwhelmed. And she's like, Joe, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to go to class and manage their parents. And so it's been really helpful for her to help me see that things I'm living right now, like the way I feel, like that we're in the exact same position, just with different circumstances. And so that's been really helpful. And it takes faith for me to show up every day and trust that I'm doing the right things and I'm speaking the truth, even though it's really hard to do, or I'm giving grace when I just don't want to, because like I'm right and I'm the coach and I'm the boss, and so it's trusting that what we're doing is like on the right track. And especially at this end of the season where you want to just finish well. Like that was my goal this weekend, is I want to finish well. I want to leave the weekend feeling totally spent, but also really, really gratified with the effort that's been invested from my end and from the players. And like, that's my goal for this weekend. And so I think that, man, it's really hard to do that. You got to dive right in there and no holds bar to be that and to finish that way. So I think that's where I've really seen that. And our players are wonderful. Like they do such a great job, and they have so much on their plate, so much stress, so many things to distract. And I really enjoy being around them, and I enjoy that I get to lead them, and I enjoy that they've chosen to be here. So I think that's really, really special. And I really do enjoy being around my team and my staff.
This reminds me of another thing I remember you mentioned, which is doing the small things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just occurs to me even more how sometimes the small things are actually the big things, or at least lead to the big things. Right.
Yeah.
And I see that with your program.
100%. Yeah. And it's interesting. We have these little stretches where I can see some of those things slipping, and it is, it's eye contact in the team meeting. It's engagement at practice. It's just communication at practice. We do drills and we'll ask like, okay, let's stat that up. What number was that? Was that a 7? Was that an 8? We're trying to beat a 10, and 10 is a choice. So like, simple things like just jogging between drills at practice. There was this time where I'm like, what's like, we're kind of slow, we're kind of lackluster. And I've had to remind them and myself, like, nope, like we got to pick up equipment after practice, pick up the team equipment first before you leave, right. We all get busy. And we all get like, what's the next thing, and kind of start checking things off the list. I do the same thing. And there was probably a 2-week stretch where I could see some small things, like the meeting room is a little bit messy, and like these things were just not undone. And it does lead to, it's just a lack of intent. That's really what it is. And so to really be at your best, competitive greatness is to be at your best, and your best requires you have to be so intentional so that mentally you're not having to flip a switch. That's just who you are. That's how you show up. So we've had those moments too, and moments where I'm like, I'm sure they're like frustrated at me, and I'm frustrated at them, and staff too. And so that's just that's just part of the season. So it's been great to step back and to see that. But little things, even just how you pack your bag, like to go on the trip, how you pack the vans. And we're in vans this weekend, like how we pack the vans, like we'll get out of here faster and it's more efficient, and making sure that you're on time to the airport, making sure that you're on time to all these things. Like they're little things that they have large consequences. So it's been a big piece to this season as well.
I'm laughing because I just remember the days,
Yeah.
pushing through. And it doesn't change completely later in life, regardless of what you're doing. Some of these things apply,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like this is something silly, but we have a garden at our house, and so my daughter's 4.5. She's turning 5, I guess, in August. So we talk about, you have to water the garden every day. But I want to play. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't water the garden, the strawberries aren't going to grow. And we've made a commitment to this. And so she kind of like, half the time she does it, and I'm just like, I'll just do it anyway. But it's some of those things. It's like, hey, like if we don't pick up our room every day, all of a sudden it's a disaster, and you can't find the toys you're looking for because we just decided not to pick up our room, and even with her, my husband and I, we have this like window of time where we're like, oh, if we miss this window for bath time, we know it's going to be bad. So we just have to, but that means we've got to get dinner ready. That means you've got to like work backwards from that. And then when it does go crazy, like, how do we handle that? Like, are we going to be gracious and be kind? Or are we going to just, get frustrated? And those are real life situations. It's like how you do anything is how you do everything. Like, so that's another one of those like age old, like, sayings, but it's true. It's intent, and to live a thriving, vibrant life, you have to be really intentional with what you're doing and how you're showing up every day for your people. And when we had Finn, I don't want her to be 15 and then we'll have to look back and go, wow, like I missed it. Like I don't want to miss being her mom. And that's really hard to do in this industry, just to be a very present parent as a coach. It's really hard when you're recruiting and you're traveling, and the job is very demanding. And so that's a journey my husband and I have been on really since she was born, of how do we do this and be very intentional to steward her really well, because I don't want her to get to high school and I'm like, I missed being present with her even at home in the small moments because I was so busy, or because I was planning, or I was, scouting or gone. Right. So I think that's been a huge motivating factor to learn the skill and to learn the value of intentionality in life.
I appreciate your metaphors and your analogies too, whether it's for your daughter with the garden, or even when I think I asked you about the rise of Virginia softball and you compared it to bamboo and how that growth happens. Will you share that with this audience?
Yeah. So bamboo, there's a story in Chop Wood, Carry Water, a chapter in that book, and it talks about bamboo. And bamboo is a plant that takes, I think, 5 to 6 years underneath the surface to grow its roots and develop it. So you water and you till and you take care of bamboo for 5+ years before seeing anything come to the surface. And so it really is a testament to faithfulness, to just continuing to water without seeing the results. And then after about 5 to 6 years, in 6 weeks, the bamboo shoots up to 6 to 8 feet. So it happens really, really fast. And the metaphor is that all the work is happening under the surface and you can't see it. You don't know what's happening. You just have to trust that it's happening and stay faithful. And then at some point, the plant's going to shoot up and you're going to see the result of your faithfulness. So water well, actually James Landry, one of my assistants at McNeese, always says the grass is greener on the side that you water, and it's not always greener on the other side. It's like, where are you going to water? So kind of relate that back. I'm using a lot of garden and plant metaphors here, but it's true. It's like it's hard to stay faithful. We're in a culture that is very like, what's in it for me right now? What do I get right now? Instant gratification. And I'm sure every generation has said that about the generation we love them, right? So like, this is not a new conversation, but even now I was in the car the other day and I'm like, I think I asked like a question about, I don't know, who's on this team or who's playing professional. You can just look up, you can just literally go to your phone and look up anything you want. Information is so quick. You don't have to think, you don't have to process. This woman was doing a crossword on the plane today. And I'm like, I would just Google all those answers because I don't even know what those are. I have no idea. But to sit there and just think and ponder and figure this out, like that's just not valued. And, right now, and particularly in athletics, in this industry. So, I think, again, that's just a testament to our senior class. They're so faithful. Sid Hartgrove, another one. She was in the bullpen for 3 years, catching bullpens, and got a little bit of time last year with Leah. But man, like how many people stick with it and stay true and stay committed and stay faithful? And then look at her. She's having a great senior year, and all those spot starts that she got, all those bullpens that she caught, like she's reaping the benefits. This is her bamboo year, so yeah. I think that that's how you sustain a marriage. That's how you are a parent well. That's how you keep a job, and for long term, it's how you have your job is enjoyable, and it's how you cultivate joy in your life. And it just doesn't just happen because of, okay, what's next? It's who am I right now in whatever circumstance I'm in? So I think that's it's just it's hard to cultivate those values. And so I think that's what makes me really love what I do, is that you get the opportunity for 4 years to cultivate values. And we've been fortunate. We haven't had a lot of action in and out of the portal for our program. And so I'm getting to really see that in some of our athletes. Senior weekend was last weekend. You just kind of go, man, who they came in as and who they're leaving as is really beautiful. They've grown up so much. So I think that's what I love about this. And that's what keeps me really motivated and keeps me going. Because culturally, it's hard. Our team is very counterculture, which I really admire that about them.
Seems very journey focused, which I appreciate, because everybody has the goal. You want to go to the World Series, you want to win a national championship, of course. Mm-hmm. But what is the process and what's the journey along the way to that, and being able to create goals on that gradual path, on that bamboo path?
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, but I feel like you guys have done a really nice job of it. Not perfect, because nothing is, but I feel like that seems to be a factor with you all.
For sure. It's and it's, setting the goal is easy, right? Yeah. Or setting the World Series, all right, it's exactly what you said. It's all of the things day to day to get there that are really, really hard. We get busy, we get tired. We get distracted. And so staying the course well, right? Like you're on the team, so you have to come to practice. I tell them, you don't have to come to practice, but if you want to play softball, you need to be at practice. And so they're like, right. Yeah, right, Coach Joe, we have to come to practice. But just because you're here doesn't mean you're getting better. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're present. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're cultivating any values or developing any skills, really. So it's not just showing up, it's how you show up. and then what you bring that I think is really important. And that's really hard to do. Like everybody's going to say they want to go to the World Series, but can you consistently be the team that not only puts in the work with it in practice, but like on your own. And some of that work is sleep.
Yeah.
It's rest.
Yeah.
It's renewal. It's finding other hobbies that give you a break. It's taking a mental break. It's, nutrition. It's how you're fueling your body. It's, so I think there's a lot of other pieces to that. It's not just practice. And, this is a new generation of athletes that they need a break. They have been like the grindstone is not good for them. And they want more balance in their life. And that's something I admire about them too. It probably frustrates me at times. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I gotta put in the work, but man, there's something really admirable about saying like, I don't want this to be my life. Like I want to have other things that are important and I value. And I've never really related so much to that since I had my daughter. Like I just realized like, wow, I don't want this to be, I don't necessarily want her to feel like I'm a coach first and I'm a mom second. I don't want her to feel that way or see that. And there are going to be moments where she feels like that, obviously. Like I'm gone for 5 days this weekend. It's tough, but she knows I'm still a mom. And so I think that I've learned a lot from, these last couple of classes and the group coming in, the younger generation that made me feel old, but that, they want relationships, they want quality time, and they want balance in their life. And they don't want to work 90 hours a week. They don't want to do that. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool because that's all I knew growing up. That's all I knew about this industry was you're the first one in, the last one to leave. And all you do is work. And that's not really healthy. So like, what is wellness, like full well-being? And it's cultivating joy and cultivating gratitude and being present with whoever you're with and building relationships and being really, really great at your job. I do still expect to be a great coach, and in my skill set, in my on-field calls and execution, and in our preparation. So how do you do all of that? And I think that that's the goal.
Yeah. No pressure. Easy. Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I know. Pursuit, right? Being in pursuit. That's like, that's it, right? Just the journey is, I think that there's a lot of people stepping away from coaching in multiple sports. And so we have to do it different. There has to be a better way to do it, to be whole and to be healthy and to be like well-being and a great coach. Like there's got to be a way to do that. And so I think that's maybe the challenge for all of us is to say, how do we be great moms and great dads? How do we love our wives and our husbands and our spouses? How do we do this all really, really well? How do we be great coaches and like maybe like smile and like enjoy life a little bit, like go on vacation, like and actually be on vacation with our family? Like, how do we do that? Because we're missing it. We're a slave to this industry sometimes and the portal and the recruiting. And I just feel like I don't want to get to the end of my life and go, man, I was a really good coach, but I missed so many things in life. Like, I feel like I've already missed a lot. So I just, that is my pursuit, I think. And I think the pursuit for our athletes is who are we becoming as we are on the path to this goal.
Right. And what happens as you start to meet them? I mean, you all coming off of a postseason appearance last year, and this is your 9th season leading the Who's, which is crazy.
Yeah,
200 career wins you just celebrated not too long ago at Virginia. Yeah, how has the reflection been on that? Have you even had time to reflect on that?
Yeah. Honestly? Yeah, no, I think really, really grateful. And one thing Coach Mendenhall used to always tell me is like, you can't compare yourself to anybody else, your program to any other program. Because I had I'm like 200 wins. I'm like, oh my gosh, 9 years. It's taken forever to get there. You're like, whatever. But those are really hard fought, and those are really, and we were at a different place than a lot of other people. And our program. And it's a lot of faithfulness of coaching staff and athletes and my husband, who's been like the best teammate you could ever have. So it's been, I do Bleav that I was built for hard. Like I can do hard things, and it's been a really hard, gratifying journey. And so to be, in a position to go to our second NCAA tournament in a row, back-to-back years, is awesome. And that's, again, great players that have done a really great job. My coaching staff is excellent. And I have an incredible support system around me. So that's why we can do that. But I think we've come a long way. And I think that I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. And I have become a better version of myself and the closer version to my true self, I think, through the process. I mean, those early years were ugly. You could ask any of the coaches that coached me, they were like, she was crazy. Like, I was crazy. Like, you're so stressed out and you're trying to figure it out. And then COVID was like crazy. And then had my daughter in COVID. So like, there was these moments of like, just wild time. But I also, I'm really grateful. Like, I think the biggest reflection is gratitude, and grateful for the opportunity, grateful for the players, grateful for, Lisa Palmer, who's incredible, and Fran, and grateful for my family. And there's a lot of people that have grown and had a lot of opportunities through this program. There's a lot of people that have gone on to do some amazing things from this program. And I just think that that's really great to feel like you can be a part of opening opportunity to people. And because that's all we do. We give them the opportunity, and what they do with it is what makes, the difference. And so it's really, really proud of my players and former players and former staff members for who they've chosen to become. And but yeah, I think the reflection is hard fought wins and hard fought successes, and a ton of learning on the way, and just really thankful for Craig Littlepage and Carla Williams and all the coaches at Virginia who have influenced me, and just grateful that I feel like the Lord's really blessed my life. I have a blessed life. I have a great life. As hard as it is, there's days, and as much as there are times where I'm like, whoa, what is happening right now? Like, I'm really grateful, and I'm very blessed.
It's been really fun watching the program develop. And I think I may have mentioned this to you before, possibly when you came on the D1 softball podcast last year, but I actually went on an unofficial visit to Virginia.
You did. Yeah,
yes.
You did.
When I was being recruited, it was awesome. Like, you talk about the whole person, right? And I think the whole experience at Virginia also, I can't say enough about it, because seeing the original dorms that were first built on campus when you go there, and learning so much about what goes into the university in addition to the softball program, like, it seems like in some ways a hidden gem out
It
east.
is. Yeah, it's so special. It's a special place. I'm actually really excited to be in Palo Alto. I'm from California, never been to Stanford. So I'm really excited to visit and kind of walk around this weekend. But I would guess it probably feels a little bit similar, but probably just a little bit older over here, in Virginia. But like, just the history, it's a special place. It's special because there's an academic component, that there's this high value of character. There's the holistic development of the whole person. And I just love that. I love that you can come and compete in one of the best leagues, and there's a competitive excellence to that, but also with the school matters. Like, the academics matter. The degree is really valuable, and you have to work for it. So I love that you can do that all. It's your 4 for 40. Like, it's 4 years for 40 years, and the golden tickets are really cool for those pro league. And I love that there's a potential for the MLB to invest. I think that's amazing. The reality is that that's still a small percentage of people. Like, what's the commercials? Like, 99% are going pro in something other than sports. And so I think that Virginia is just this really special place that opens doors. It opens doors and it changes lives. And Lisa is an example of that. And there's so many alum. I could just go through the list of them. And we have so many supporters. We had Jim and Bobby Rucho were on the road with us on Tuesday night to Harrisonburg, and they came with us, and they're donors and supporters of they're who, like, they came to school here, and they have so many connections here, and they just love softball. They just love women's softball. It's just so cool. And the people and the connections are pretty incredible. This place is really special. It is. It's a hidden gem, but not so hidden anymore, you know. So
Right.
like hopefully people are Charlottesville, Virginia. It's over there on the East Coast. So
Yes. Well, when I visited, that was before Palmer Park, but I
yes.
did learn the cool stuff about the secret societies
Yep.
and the different levels, and how
Yep.
if you're a 7, people don't find out that you're part of that secret society until you die.
Correct.
So now I'm secretly, every time I see any of the sports teams for Virginia, I'm like, I wonder if any of them are part of any of these secret
I
societies,
know.
or if anyone
I
you've
know.
coached, is a part of
I
that. But
know.
add
I
that to the
have some
history. It's just so
suspicions
cool.
that I have some suspicions I might know some sevens or like, but I don't know if you ask. I'm not sure. I haven't had the courage to ask them yet, but I don't know if they would tell me. I'm not sure if they're supposed to. So I have
Yeah.
an inkling about some people. So we'll see.
I could see that. I have
Yeah.
someone I went to school with at Stanford, but he went on to get his master's at Virginia.
Mhm.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And he was like, he had some suspicions about some family members of his who
Yeah.
also went, but he's like, I guess I won't
Yeah.
know, for
Yeah.
a long time.
Totally.
But I
Totally.
think that adds to the experience, like you're saying.
It,
You have like the original Thomas Jefferson dorms, you have secret societies, and then you have really cool sports and a softball program that's on the rise. What more do you want?
Definitely. I know. You can have it all. Literally, you get all of it. It's very cool. And amazing coaches and amazing people. And the people make the place. Our department is pretty special. We have just special people that love this place. So that's really cool too.
Yeah. Well,
It's
very
awesome.
cool getting to watch. I'm so excited to call your games this weekend. I'm
I
excited to
know.
have
I'm
you out on the
excited
West
to have you.
Coast.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yes, it's going to be so fun and full circle for me in some ways, back from the recruiting days.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. Well, I appreciate what you do. You invest a lot to just grow our game, and there's a lot of people investing a lot of time and energy to get the stories out and to share. And I think what you guys are doing on multiple fronts and multiple places is just it's putting a lot of value on this great game and the amazing women that play it and compete in it. So I just really appreciate what you do and promoting us and just getting our stories out.
well, thank you. That really means a lot coming from you. And I do end every interview with a game with every guest.
Okay.
It's
Ooh,
easy, it's quick, don't
okay.
worry. You
Okay.
get to be the umpire, so that might be a nice little change up for you.
Oh, I
Um,
umpired one game when I was like, I don't know, 15 in high school. It was 10U and I did the plate and I got yelled at. It was so horrible. The parents were so bad. I didn't even take my money. I was like, nope, I'm never doing this again. That was the first and last game I ever umpired. Just a sign up. Be nice to those umpires. You guys
yeah,
need umpires. So anyway, no, one time.
totally. No,
10U.
totally.
Nope. Anyway.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is a less stressful version of that.
Okay. Perfect.
Um, so basically, I'll just bring up a topic. If you like it, if you agree with it, you call it safe. If not, then you call it out. Softball
Okay.
related.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, the first one, kind of oddly specific, but I want to know. Bright colored gloves,
Hmm.
safe or out?
I'm gonna go my personal preference
Yeah.
out. I'm kind of a simpleton. However, I would say I would go to review if it's like very true to who you are. Because I'm big on
Totally.
being authentic to yourself. So if you're the like bright pink glove kind of gal and that is so true to you, I would go to replay for that. But for me personally, I'm out on that.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I
Yeah.
noticed that the team has a lot of the classic brown leather.
Yep. Yep.
So that's why I was like, I wonder if she has thoughts on this.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. For sure. Good one.
All right. Okay, that was the first one. We touched on this earlier, but transfer portal, safe or
Mm.
out?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with safe because it's just a part of who we are, but it's bang bang, really close play. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with safe, but it is part of the game and what we do. Um, but even though it's not something that we have had a ton in and out, I'm gonna go with safe.
Yeah. Well, you said it's really rewarding, obviously, to see them develop over four
100%,
years. That's
100%,
nice. Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Last one
Okay.
is bat flips, safe or out?
Oh, bad flips. I would say my younger self would have said out here, but I'm gonna go with safe.
Oh,
This is
okay.
growth. I know growth. So again, just unapologetically yourself. I don't have an issue with a bat flip. And so long as it's celebratory for you and it's not taunting
Right.
the other team. So most of what I've seen is celebratory. So I'm going to go safe. But the Joe Hardin of probably 4 or 5 years ago would have said out without even a question. So there's growth right there.
That is growth. So Biola Joe would have said out.
Absolutely not. Would have been appalled. I said, no way. I didn't hit enough home runs to like bat flip, honestly. So like I wouldn't know my experience. But we've had a couple bat flips on us this year and they were bombs. So, tip your cap a little bit. Like I don't have an issue with that. I didn't take any issue with it. But
yeah,
that's also pretty consistently what those players do. So I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah. Authenticity, like you said, if it aligns, then okay.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one. That was a good one.
You did well because those were not easy ones that I was throwing your way. So I appreciate it. I do.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate the game. That's good. Food for thought.
Yeah. Right. So now I'm going to be paying attention to all those things this weekend. And I just want to say again, too, good luck. Excited to watch you play in person again.
Thank you.
Hopefully get to say hello in person, too.
I hope so. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great to see you. So thanks again for what you do and for, loving this game that, that's been so meaningful to us. So thank you.
I'm so glad Coach Hardin was able to come on the show. I mean, she has great insight. She cares deeply. And it's encouraging to hear from a coach who still is willing to be coached herself. And just her perspective on the big picture is really helpful, honestly, for me. And I hope everyone else too. So much growth that we talk about. And now I'm going to think of them as the Bamboo Who's now. So with that, let's bring it home. You've been listening to Bleav in Softball, part of Bleav Network. The show is available anywhere you get your podcasts, wherever you listen, including Bleav.com and YouTube too. Subscribe to the show, rate the show, and if you liked it, write a review. Follow us on X and Instagram at Bleav in Softball. Again, that's BLEAV. You can reach out to me personally on X at Jenna Becerra01 and Instagram at Jenna Becerra as well. As always, thank you for tuning in and catch you soon.